welcome to our second session. Welcome to our second session tonight, and thanks for joining us. So I think you know who we are, Lisa and Ian. And this is tonight's agenda. So we've had one session already for Eastern Canada. Now we're doing it for Western Canada. So tonight's agenda is exactly the same as we did earlier. So we're going to have a summary review of the scenarios we did on February 7th, 2022. We're going to go through additional start scenarios. We're going to go through probably 4 to 9. I think we're going to leave scenario 10 because it's a little bit more involved for another evening session. And then we are going to do polls, but we're only going to ask you to let us know what kind of card or decision you're going to make. And at the end of that, after that, we'll do some videos. And then at the very end of the call, we're going to do a little bit of administration and talk to folks about call times. Okay, so do mute your microphones now if you already haven't. And then if you wanted to ask a question, feel free to put your hand up. And I think Ian will be monitoring that, so he'll be able to let me know. Okay, use of videos and scenarios. So as we said before, we've compiled a variety of these. We've compiled these videos from a variety of sources, with the exception of a couple of videos. Most of them will provide an unobstructed view of the start area. These are never going to be areas or views that you're going to be able to use unless you're in the video referee booth. But I mean, for our purposes, they give us an unobstructed view. And as always, videos cannot replace in-person experience. So if you're looking for more false start examples, there are lots to be found online. Okay, so tonight, these are the poll responses that you will always have access to for each of the scenarios. So just briefly, clean start is a fair and equitable start. Green, meaning a green card, you would use to withdraw from the start by the starter or to indicate an unsteady start. Yellow and black is the first false start issued in a combined events. Again, that's a yellow and black card. Yellow card is a disciplinary card issued by the referee. A red card is a disciplinary second infraction card, again, issued by the referee. And of course, the red and black is a false start. Okay, so those are going to be your selections for the polls. Okay, next. So what I'm going to do is quickly go through the scenarios we covered, just as a summary if folks weren't here for the last month's session, just so they know what we looked at. And we're just going to talk about the applicable rules, and I'm just going to move right through them, okay?
American, but one of 11 seconds this year. Untitled Chapter, incidentally, the reigning champion, goes in the 6th and final heat. She's only 10th fastest in the world this year. So here we go, third heat, women's 100 meters, first round. First 3 go through by right to the semi-finals. Melissa Breen of Australia in 1, Gardner in 2, Fratelli in 3. Okay, so that's where we're going to cut it off, because it's just shown us all we need to know about what happened at the start. Whoops. So the applicable rules or the rules that could be used in this situation are after the command on your marks or set and before the report of the gun, an athlete disturbs another athlete. So it can be from sound or movement or any other gestures. And it is a disciplinary. So it would have been a yellow card to lane, I think it was lane 3 or 3 on the lane 4 on the other side. And if it was a second infraction, it would have been a red card. And then just as a reminder, so a false start generated by movement of an athlete in an adjacent lane does not result in the disqualification of the athlete, okay, who false started. Okay, so this was our second scenario that we witnessed. This was a men's 400 decathlon. So lane 3 had lifted his hand just ever so briefly and went out. So he lost contact with the track. So the applicable rule here would be the athlete who's responsible for the false start shall be warned along with all of the other athletes. So again, the yellow and black diagonal card is specifically for first infraction in the combined events. Okay, so we're going to go through to scenario number 3, which was our 200-meter men's start. Okay. So the next video, which is a similar rule is applicable, a similar rule which is applicable is the next video. And I'll play this and then I'll just briefly go over the rule. So you'll see here that both athletes come out of the starting blocks before the report of the gun. However, it's the starter's role to determine whether or not it was intentional. So the rule that would apply for both of these starts is any motion by an athlete that results in their foot losing contact with the foot plates or their hands losing contact with the track. In the first instance, it was a false start that was issued, and it would have been the diagonal red and black card which was shown. In the second instance, the starter had determined that the athlete had lost his balance and fell out of his blocks, or you could see him stumbling out of his blocks, and it was a yellow card that would have been issued. Okay, so that was the review of what we had covered in the last month's session. And now I'm going to turn it over to Ian.
Okay, the fourth scenario, we have a 100-meter hurdle race. And after the set command, there's an athlete in lane 8.
Sorry. What's going on? I apologize. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that.
It races through a set position, as all the other athletes do, and then lowers her hips and then flinches her hips just vertically during the report of the gun. And now we will have a poll. What is your decision for this in this case? Okay, so results of the poll, a clean start. In other words, we let it go, 25%. recall, but green card, 25%. Yellow, black, which would only happen in combined events, 13%. Yellow, so that's a misconduct from the referee, 13%. And a false start, red and black, 25%. Let's take a look at the appropriate rules.
Oops.
Okay, so here are rule 16.7, note 2, so that any motion by an athlete which does not result in the commencement of the start shall not be considered a false start. So you can either let it go, or it can be recalled and a misconduct card can be shown, that's yellow or red, by the start referee. And if there's an extraneous reason for aborting the start, or the referee does not agree with the starter's decision, then there can be a green card shown, or in some cases the misconduct, yellow or red. Here's an example video. And it's a 9-lane track, and it is lane 8 that we're concerned about. So again, lane 8, the one that's closest to us. Okay, so their hands did not leave the ground, the feet did not leave the blocks, they did not start she did not start her forward or movement to commence the start. So we don't believe it should be a false start. And it doesn't look like there was any advantage gain. It was slight movement in the hips, and the race was allowed to continue in this case. Any comments, questions? Okay, I guess scenario 5. In the 200 meters, after receiving the set command, an athlete in lane 3 slowly rises to a set position, then stops. Just as lane 3 stops her movement, an athlete in lane 6 jerks forward, loses her balance, falls out of the blocks across the start line. Question: what is your decision? Okay, so obviously it was recalled. There's a green, no charge to anybody, 10%. Yellow, so that's a misconduct from the referee, 50%. A red, which would be a second misconduct from the referee, that's 20%. And a false start, 20%. So let's take a look at the appropriate rules. So if an athlete fails to comply with on your marks or set, or does not assume their final position without delay, so that could be a slow to rise or lowering the hips or flinching, etc. That can be considered misconduct. Rule 16.5.2 in this case. So depending on the circumstances, the referee can issue a green card, a yellow card, or a red card for a second instance. And if there's a false start, of course, that's the yellow-black. That's any motion by an athlete that results in the foot or feet losing contact with the foot plates or hands losing contact with the track before the report of the gun. And under certain circumstances, that can also be considered misconduct if it's not intentional. Okay, we have a video. Watch lane 3 and then also lane 6.
Oh, Talu fell out of the blocks there and then put your hand up. Like you can't put
You
your hand
can
up.
ignore the commentary.
What happened here? You've said to him there's been slightly longer holds, but you are supposed to hold. And I just wonder, that wasn't a false start as such. She didn't try and beat the gun. She just overbalanced.
And she's raced, I mean, she probably races more than any other world-class sprinter, Marie-José Talu. She had a big win in Oslo on Thursday. She won in Luzerne on Tuesday. She's had a busy week, but yeah, she's experienced and she knows better than that.
Just a quick word, Masalingi was also very slow to rise. Just a quick word on Masalingi and Bomber, the two very fast 400 meter.
Okay.
So I think the key here was the slow rise.
Out of the blocks there and then put your hand up.
The cause was that the initiation of the problems.
Oh, Talu fell out of the blocks there and then put your hand up. Like you can't put your hand up after you've fallen out. Be very interested to see what happened to you.
Okay. Any
So
comments?
yeah, so just a thought here. Once one thing starts to go wrong at a start, other things may go wrong, and we have to be aware of that. And sometimes there's more than one right decision.
Okay, you ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, scenario 6. In a 100-meter race, after the set command, the athlete in lane 7 rises to set position. His hips and torso continue to slowly move forward as the gun is fired. What's your decision? So we have 10% indicating a clean start. In other words, let it go. 30% indicating a yellow warning card from the referee, and 60% indicating a red-black card indicating a false start. And relevant rule, commencement of the start before the report of the gun observed by the starter recaller and not detected by the start information system. And let me read you the relevant rule. The 16.7, commencement of the start is defined. There's a loss of contact with the ground, but also if the starter determines that prior to receiving the report of the gun, an athlete initiated a movement that was not stopped and continued into the commencement of their start, it shall also be a false start. And this is a 9-lane track. So we're looking at lane 7.
Okay.
Okay, any comments, questions?
Lisa, Ian, yeah, we were focusing on lane 7, who was trying to catch a flyer or was moving forward, but not hearing the gun. Lane 8 either had one hell of a reaction time, or it seemed like they also went early compared to the rest of the athletes in the start.
Potentially. I think what we were using the video for is an example of a rolling start.
Yep.
So, but yeah, there could have been a number of other things wrong with the start, but
Yeah, without that we don't really know.
no. And that's the whole point. That's why using these as samples to show you what a rolling start could look like in a situation, in a real situation, is the exercise, not the analysis. But
No.
that's a good point, though.
And the other thing here is that the SIS system is obviously in use. So now you got additional information that's not available to us.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, scenario 7. We have a 60 meters women's race. All the athletes respond to the start or set command. But prior to the report of the gun, lane 8's hips slowly drift down during the report of the gun. What's your decision? Okay. Okay, we have 78% considering it a clean start, 22% saying that to recall and issue a green card. Let's take a look at it. Oh, the applicable rules. So if you fail to comply with your commands on your marks are set, and do not assume your final position without delay, you may be issued potentially by the referee a yellow card. And of course, second card, a yellow card becomes red. Or you can be issued a green card if not considered not deliberate. Or in the second line, the motion of the athlete which does not result in the commencement of a start shall not be considered a false start. And the decision can be made just to let it go. So let's take a look at the case here. And it's lane 8, which is closest to us. Now, a comment on this is definitely not a legal and fair start. Lane 8 is coming back, crouching down, and is like a spring. So can get an advantage. But certainly not a false start because the hands have not left the ground or the feet have not left the blocks. Questions, comments? Okay, I guess scenario 8. In the Paralympics, T35, 100-meter final, we have 5 athletes assembled for the start. And we have athletes in 3 lanes, 4, 5, and 7, who are not using blocks. And we have 2, 4 lanes 4 and 7 using a 2-point standing start. And following the set command, the athlete in lane 7 leans forward and continues for her motion during the report of the gun. What is your decision? Okay, so we have 22% to give a green card, 22% to give a yellow conduct from the referee, 11% to give a red card, which would be a second yellow card from the referee, and 44% saying that that should be a false start. The applicable rules. Note that the WPA, the Paralympics, that everybody, the only ones that is mandatory to use a crouch start and has to use blocks are the T11 to 13, which is the visually impaired, and the T20, which is intellectually impaired. So everybody else has to use blocks. The applicable rules for Paralympics, if it's strictly a Paralympic meet, these rule numbers are different from the Paralympic book, but they are the same as the World Athletics rules. So if there's a commencement of the start before the report of the gun, in this case, not detected by the start information system, because it wasn't mandatory, then it would be a false start, which is the red and black card. And if there's motion by an athlete that results in one or both feet losing contact with the ground before the report of the gun, depending on whether that's deliberate, if it's overbalance, that normally is a green card. It could potentially be a yellow card from the referee, or a second yellow card, which becomes red, or it could potentially be a false start. So those are the decisions. So let's take a look at an example. And it is lane 7 that we're looking at. Okay. So definitely she was moving. And the question has to be asked, was that an overbalance? Or was she deliberately going? And that is something, as a starter, you will have to decide. So, any questions or comments? So, if it's strictly losing balance, normally we would give a green card and redo. If it was deliberate, normally that would be a false start. Okay, any questions, comments? Okay, next scenario. Okay, we have a 100-meter heat, and after the on the marks command, an athlete in lane 2 is the last athlete to move into on your marks position, and then immediately withdraws from the blocks. What is your decision? Okay, 60% would give a yellow card. 30% would say it's a second yellow card by the referee. And 10% would say, yeah, that was a false start. So let's take a look at an example. Oh, sorry, the rules. So if after the command on your marks are set, but before the report of the gun, you cause the start to be aborted by raising your hand, standing or sitting up without valid reason, etc. That can be considered misconduct. That's rule 16.5.1 in this case. There can be an extraneous reason for aborting the start, or the referee does not necessarily have to agree with the starter's decision. So there you have, there's a misconduct yellow card. The second one would be red, or if there was deemed to be no misconduct, just a reset, then a green card. And this is an example. Okay. So obviously wasn't prepared to run. So any questions, comments? I guess if not, we're looking at the next slide is what time do we meet?
Oh, did you want to, we have some time, Ian. Did you want to cover number 10?
What I'm thinking of is if we're going to leave it for the next time, then we want everybody
Oh, that's,
together.
yes, you're
That-
absolutely right.
That's all.
You're right.
So the question was, we were concerned that some
Before you,
people. Pardon?
do we want to ask if there are any comments or anything else that
Oh, sure,
had
absolutely.
any questions about for the entire sort of session? Impressive.
Did you have something, Jill?
Yeah, maybe just well done. It's very instructive. Very nice to see, some real situation. And for me, it's still a learning experience. So thank you for that.
Okay, you're welcome. So Lisa and I have struggled a lot with times and we had an 8 o'clock time slot earlier and was wondering, that was 8 o'clock Central, and which is 5 o'clock for BC. So the question is, how many people would be comfortable going back to the 8 o'clock Central or 5 o'clock BC time? Is there anybody that can't?
That works good for me in Manitoba.
Okay. Because if not, we'll go back to one session at 8 o'clock. And that way, we actually do get more discussion. We're about, we're a good 10 minutes faster this evening session, just simply because we had less people and consequently less comments. And I think it's good for everybody.
Well, I think you just did such an amazing job, Ian. People are speechless.
I think the presentation was good with the description in front and then the decision made and then the results sort of after. That was rather than the video first and then everybody guessing what because they didn't know. My video last time didn't work very well, so I was sketchy. It was very jerky as it was going through. I guess my Wi-Fi wasn't working great. So this time I think this was easier to view and to understand.
That's good to hear.
That's great to hear. Okay. I guess if that's a wrap. We'll have another session in, was it 4 weeks time?
April 4th.
Yeah.
So just a comment like that, Lisa, you're going to the World Championship in a few days.
Yes.
So I would ask if it would be possible to have some tips from your experience there at the Worlds for our next session.
Ooh, that would be interesting. Ooh. Yeah, I can try.
Well,
Homework. Yeah, no, I can. I certainly will try. I find that having access to the other international starters has been a great way to access videos and other bits of information. So I'm glad we're able to share it with you guys.
thank you. Thank you very much. And I enjoyed the experience.
Oh, thanks. Oh, yeah. It'll be an experience. But thank you. Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments? Is Dennis still there? He's so quiet.
I don't know how to put up my hand.
I knew it.
Besides, if I don't comment, you finish early. If I comment, you finish late.
We enjoy your comments, then we can all learn from them.
No, Serge said if I hassled you guys, he'd cut me off.
I guess he cut you off then.
Yeah. Well done, you guys. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for joining. Okay,
Thanks for-
folks.
Yeah, thanks for everybody for joining, and we'll see you in a month's time.